Today we're going to talk about some of the problems that many of you face when reading the tarot.
Yeah. Some of the things like usually everybody has a handful of cards at least that they just don't seem to connect with. Whenever that card comes up in a reading, your brain just freezes suddenly.
They just
You're
get
like,
stuck.
oh no, how do I, you start searching frantically for a meaning to connect with the situation.
Yeah. You just don't understand. It's like you're feeling like you're trapped or you're lost, and you're lost for words, so to say, and very insecure. It makes you feel insecure, and you don't know where to turn. What is it? Am I going right or left? Well, this video we are going to talk about that and some of the ways that you can avoid going into that little corner or that trap.
Well, one of the things that we talk about that we want to share is that this is very common. Quite often people are stuck with the meanings of the Five of Swords, the difference between the Five of Swords and the Seven of Swords. That's very common, for one thing, okay? So this is from the Robin Wood deck, in case you're curious, these two. So we've got the Five of Swords and the Seven of Swords. And, no meanings, by the way, no meanings are carved in stone, of course, but the tarot does have a rich tradition. But the Five of Swords means generally something that's unfair. Something happened that was unfair. Even a victory with a bitter taste to it, even.
Humiliation.
Yeah, that's the way. Yeah, exactly. And Seven of Swords, if you look at the picture always has to guide you as well as with the meanings that have been built up over the years. But the Seven of Swords is feeling like something has been taken from you, or an alternative meaning is a need to act or operate stealthily, with stealth. Okay?
I also see it as not giving to yourself and feeling guilty about something. Like maybe you did something wrong, or something you got to go back to, unfinished business in some way, or just feeling that it basically classifies into the victimhood in some way.
Yeah, exactly. So you can hear that there are definite differences between the meanings of these two cards. And that's the point that we want to make, though, is that whatever the cards are that are giving you a challenge, sit down and think about what are those cards that whenever they come up, like go through your deck if you have one. And if you haven't got one, don't worry about it. That just, you're here for a reason. But think of the cards that give you that problem and write them down and actually look at them, study them. Look at we're going to talk about that in a moment, looking them up in the book, but look at the pictures, see the difference, get the feeling of what the picture's telling you and the vibration of what the difference is. Leave them out overnight till the next day and let your mind make connections. Write things down in a notepad so you can define for yourself what that difference is, because that's why they're a blind spot for you, because you've never actually consciously examined them and gotten to know them.
Exactly. Examine them. Really take a look at the card. Really look at the expressions on the figure's face. Look at the expressions on the other people that may be in the other card. That may be in the card. Look at the colors. The skies are gray. As you can see, the skies are gray, and you can just tell what that is, and you kind of go with it. Like, look at this. If you look at it, look at their expressions, you kind of just go into a trance state when you are staring into it. It's very important, like Dave said, just to examine it and go inward and really connect with the card. And don't worry, you're not going to, I know some people think if they focus on that card, they are going to attract that outcome, or you have the ability to make the choices and change your thinking and the frame of wherever the actions are leading to. Remember, you are in control. You are in control of your life. The tarot and these cards are just a compass for you to help you navigate through that.
Exactly. And something else that can help you, these are just simple, basic, fundamental things, okay? Nothing sophisticated or esoteric here. The swords themselves are generally a challenge. Think of what a sword is. It's got the two edges. It's a sword. It's used to cut through. It's, challenging in some way. Or somebody picks up the sword, it's a challenge. So that's another clue that can help you with the meaning, as well as the number 5 and the number 7. The number 5 is another number that's associated with challenges. Number 7 is a number that's associated with transitioning. Okay, so those little clues can help you along with the picture, but really taking the time to examine and think about those cards that are your blind spots and come up with more secure meanings for yourself, so that when they come up in a reading, you're going to have, because of that, you're going to be more confident.
That's right. Always make sure that you are connecting with the deck that you have picked. Okay, obviously you have a deck of cards.
Yeah.
You cannot, well, you can do this course without a deck of cards, but I mean, it's better to do it with a deck of cards. So we've given you some suggestions in the course about how to, to pick your deck, to actually look at all the cards there's a lot of unboxings on the internet, and you can find them on YouTube, and just connect with the deck that you feel very drawn to, as long as it's Rider-Waite based. That's what we're reading with, or it can be any format, I guess, because if you really get down to it, if you get technical with it, the Rider-Waite is the format that we're working with, but there's oracle cards. This applies to all divination oracle cards alike, but we are just right now, the focus point is the Rider-Waite format. Okay. And so look for your deck that you connect with. Shuffle the cards, keep looking at it, perhaps maybe even sleep with it, a couple, 2-3 nights. I like to do that because it helps me to feel the energy of the cards, because it's not only reading the cards, it's feeling, right?
Yeah, definitely.
That's what it's all about. We're just giving you suggestions on that.
And this brings us to the next problem that people encounter. It's more like a bad habit. And it's not that it's a bad thing in and of itself to depend, but it's when you depend upon looking things up in the book. There's nothing wrong with looking up meanings in books afterwards or as you're learning tarot, because that can actually, sometimes a meaning will jump out at you. It'll enrich and enhance your current understanding of that card and how that card reflects life. But if you, every time you do a reading, if you need to feel like you need to look up the meaning in the book, then that's a bad habit. You need to break that habit. You need to start to trust your own, you need to give space and time as you look at the cards to allow the meanings to come to you. And you need to develop and nurture that. You can look at the book later if you want in order to enhance anything, like I said. And this leads me, what's your, before I go any further?
I'm going to say this. First of all, when you're asking a question, or please, one thing I ask that you guys do, don't try to make the answer to be something that you want it to be. Yes, we want it to be. We want it to be a yes. Yes, we want that. We want, I can go on and on what we like, but try to be open to the possibilities of something else. Like, let that come through, because you're not going to get the message unless you let it come through. I have a lot of my students and my clients in the past that read tarot, that want to learn, and they say the same thing. I'm not getting the answer. I'm not feeling it. I'm not getting it. Well, you're not, because you are basically like hoping, or you can be hoping. I don't like to say you, but you're hoping, you might be hoping that the answer to be, it's always going to be 2 of Cups. It's always going to be the 9 of Cups. It's going to be the Sun. It's always going to be, we want those cards, but you have to look at the shadows first, and you have to, it's not to say that that's not going to happen. It's just that you have to, something that the tarot, that your guides, are trying to give you a message about, and the message is trying to come through. You just have to be open and willing to the possibilities of other things that are coming through, and they might be answering something else that's in your life, not necessarily the question that you've asked. You might be getting a message about something totally different, and you got to be open to that, because you're not getting the message. I'm telling you. That's what I got to say. That's what
absolutely. That was a great point. It's so true, because one of the main but we're going to talk about it in a later video more, but one of the main benefits of reading tarot is that it's a tool that can break down your ego and the rigidity of your ego. But on the other end of the spectrum, sometimes people will try learning the tarot and they'll discover there are so many meanings, and they'll just feel overwhelmed. And it is an intuitive art, of course, so they'll just say, you know what, I'm just going to be intuitive on this and just wing it. But that's also, those people will, if that's you, deep inside you don't feel confident about your readings either, because you know that you're just winging it. There is a reason for the cards, why they're structured that way, and the way they work. Nobody really knows the exact, it's some kind of quantum physics you could probably use to explain it perhaps, but it's just sacred magic really,
right,
on how and why it works. But you can't just wing it. You do have to learn. It's like learning a musical instrument. If you don't know some basic scales and chords and have some basic technical ability, it doesn't matter how creative you are, you're going to be very limited in what you can express musically. You don't have to know everything technically. Same with this. You just need the fundamentals. Then your intuition can fly from that.
Yeah, beautifully said. And don't be hard on yourself if you fall into that crack there, because it happens to the best of us, really. I've been there. Dave's been there. We've all been there. So, don't be hard on yourself, because, you have to fall or make a little mistake so you can learn and move forward.
Yeah, and that's what we're here for. Yes. So I hope you found this. We hope you found this video helpful, no matter what level you're at with your tarot journey. And we look forward to talking with you more on the next video in a couple of days.
Yes.
And we'll talk to you then.
Yes, talk to you soon.